I have a very special guest for today's show, and she asked me just a few moments ago, what are you thinking what I can get into? What is the point that you want me to zoom in on? I saw three words: do it different. That's our focus, and that's Diana Joice. Coming up next on The Brian Snow Show. The thing is, until you can erase 3 Februaries, shut up.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is The Brian Snow Show.
You might have noticed I did not change the name to Snowman Welcomes, as you see at the top of your screen. After all, after sleeping on it, praying on it, and thinking about it for as long as I can, and I can tell you it covers a better part of 6 months. I decided no, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to change the show name. I'm going to put it together, and every day that I'm scheduled to interview a guest, it'll be live like it is this afternoon. And speaking of my guests, Diana lives and breathes her mantra: leaders are relationship people because your team is the engine that drives the dream. Let me read that again. Leaders are relationship people because your team is the engine that drives the dream. Your team is the engine that drives the dream. Say that mantra with me, folks. Your dream is the engine that drives the team. And speaking of driving the team, this pretty lady here is going to help my team get my channels out there, which I'll post in the chat a little bit later. Please help me welcome to the Brian Snow Show, Mrs. Diana Joice. How are you, my dear? It is great to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me over. It's an honor being here.
What was the one point in your life that made you turn it around and say, you know what, I'm going for everything and I'm being fearless and I'm going to do this my way? What was that one point that turned it for you?
Oh, massive systemic attack on my being, like being hacked, getting followed. Moment it just started happening. It was like my computer was being hacked. I was being followed on the street by cars, by bikes, by pedestrians, and people were looking at me kind of weird. Like, you see these weird movies where you see people looking at you like, and I had those experiences. And I was like, what is happening around me? Is this me, or is this my outer experience? What is this? And I have back in with myself because I got scared. I was like, my world was falling apart. I had no idea what was happening. And I figured, hey, I didn't figure out what this is. Is this me? And if it's me, I need to figure out a way on how to get out of it. And if it's not me, I need to find a way inside,
right,
to deal with it. And that was the part where everything has changed for me, where I was forced to know who I really am, what I believe in, and setting those boundaries. Although there were things happening I had zero control over. It was simply about what's important here and what am I focusing on? Is it more important of what's happening in my outer world rattled me in that moment? Or is it more important of what happens inside? How do I gain strength from that? How do I gain my very own leadership from that? So this is sorry to that.
I had a chance to be on your show doing an interview, and we had a fabulous chat there during the interview and after it. And the people in the Facebook group that you may be a part of is showing love to me and you in that interview. And I thank you for that. And I could do nothing better but bring you on here, and highlight you and the group as well. Tell everybody about the Facebook group that we're talking about.
So the Facebook group is called Grit and Growth to Professional Startups, which we are going to be changing
All right.
because it is more professional or more pinpointed towards the people who are really needing those startups, like getting from incubator phases, the very, very, very early start to the accelerator phase, which is then transition into a sustainable business. So this is what we are focusing on. And what we do different there is we give everyone the chance for an interview to pitch to our audience, which might turn into your clients. So there are collaborators or top talent. You might find someone who you might need on your team, or you might find actually the people who are going like, hey, I love what this person said. I love what they stand for. I love their energy. I love their offer. Let's get with that, right?
There's a lot of people through that group that I want to pitch this to, that that I want to convince to hitch their wagons to Snowman Multimedia. Even though my company has had many, many names, including the popular Arena Sports Net, which I unfortunately had to let go because my website got hacked and I couldn't get it back because at the time I was homeless, and to get it back would cost me $1,800, which I didn't have. So I thought about it. My wife came to me and she says, "Why don't you call it Snowman Multimedia?" And then she coupled it with, "You have a brand. Snowman is your brand. Use it." So I am. I just need desperately, and I'm not afraid to say it, I'll say it aloud. I just need desperately to get some funding behind it so I can make this grow and I can help my family. I was just before we hooked up, I was just saying out loud while walking around the house that no one's going to stop me. My fight with depression is over. My fight with anxiety is over. I got a project called Diary of a Mad Snowman that a friend of mine wants to turn into an actual book, which will happen by the end of this year. I was just so afraid to re-engage in life after my battle with cancer, my toe amputation, and blood clots in both lungs, my kidney failure. But I got to tell you, it was the toe amputation that struck me the most, especially when my doctor was talking about it and she used the word amputation, and I just broke.
Wow.
I just broke
What
after being in
happened
the
inside of
hospital.
you? What happened inside of you in that moment?
I was crying. I
Mhm.
just broke down. My wife was there, and I cried when she used that word. And I can honestly say I don't know the reason why, but after being in a wheelchair for almost 7 months and now getting my leg strength back so I can do what I need to do, raise $200 in the next couple of days so I can get a rental car so I can start doing Uber like crazy and bringing some money. Whomever I got to pitch this to, whomever I got to pitch this to, I want them to take. I would just love anybody in that group, any investor in that group. I would just love for them to take a chance on me and let me show them what I can do for them.
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen because I have a really good feeling about that.
I have good
That
feelings about that.
yeah.
Also. Um, what made you focus on helping startups? What gave you that inspiration?
So that wasn't really my idea. I come from the leadership space, agile
Hmm.
leadership and team building, and I got into I went into a group and I heard an interview and so I watched an interview with Marty Smith.
Hmm.
And I was just like, I need to interview that woman. I need to speak to her. And so I did. I talked to her, I chatted her up, and I was like, hey, how about an interview? And in that interview, it crystallized that I have to work with her. And so we came up with this idea of creating a group and doing leadership and resilience because it both has something to do with each other. And she is so much about resilience. She wrote a book, Resilience Nourishes the Soul, a beautiful, beautiful book. based upon that, we are building the framework for startups, because she came up with, she was like, she wants to deliver to the youth and she wants to do this. And I didn't even have this on my radar just yet, right? But she came up with, I'm like, why not? It's a succession of, and here's a business clue for you. It's the succession to a succession business as a leadership coach. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And I would absolutely love that. Right now, we're giving free classes. We're giving, what we are going to be doing, rolling out very soon, is we're going to have a weekly masterclass in which we also train the pitches, the business plan, every subject of whatever it is that you need, investors and investing. Like, what do you have to look for? What type of investor? Which kind of pitch do you need for them? What do they focus on? What do you need to do? And what do you need to let go? Right? So there is all of that in there, and more is coming. So we are working on the outlet for the next year, and it's just fantastic, just absolutely fantastic. So yeah.
I can't wait until that all that is rolled out, because I'm going to be knee deep in, if y'all allow me, I'm going to be knee deep in those studies.
Absolutely.
It's time I went back to class, and I'm learning a lot, even just today, on how and when to promote on YouTube, because I decided I'm going to put everything into YouTube. I'm not going to use the audio outlets that I used to use to do the podcast. Everything goes through here, and everything is going to come out that way. And I have a special page, I have a special channel, I should say, just for the Brian Snow Show and Snowman in the Morning. And those are going to be simulcast on my main page, Snowman Multimedia. But as soon as both of those channels get monetized, and I'm calling by Halloween, I'll reach the mark and I'll exceed it, then everything will be aired there on its separate pages. I'm really, really focused on getting those channels monetized, because I know for a fact I can do it. And in talking to you on your podcast, you, my dear, and I love you for this, really gave me the opportunity to tell my story. And just I'm allowing you to do yours today. And you really gave me a chance to just be myself and just put it out there. And to say I love you and appreciate you for that would be an understatement.
Thank you so much for that. Love it. I love it. I love it. Right. So when we're capable of telling the story, it's so powerful.
It is.
So powerful. It's a human experience. And thank you for sharing yours. That's valuable beyond measure.
It is. It really is. This is Diana Joice. I plan to have her back a few more times as everything in the Grit and Grind Facebook group gets rolled out. And the more that we learn, the more that we are going to share with you guys. We're up against a break, but Diana, my dear, thank you so much for coming on. And I'd love to have you back whenever you're available.
One thing, the name is Diana.
Diana.
Thank you.
Diana. I knew there was a mistake. There was a mistake somewhere. It's Diana. Diana. Folks, Diana. This is live broadcast. Diana. I've made mistakes live on the air so many times in 29 years. It's not even funny. I am so sorry about that. Diana.
That's okay. It's okay.
Diana is the name. Well, Diana, I'd love to have you back many times over if you're with that.
Honored to. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Where sports is the base, life and fun are the results. This is the Brian Snow Show.